And we continue learning Dirshu Mishnah Berurah Hilchos Netilas Yadayim. Simin Kuf Samach Aleph, dealing with the different chatzitzos, different issues that could be on your hands and thereby invalidate the tefillah, or even if it doesn't invalidate the tefillah, how we're supposed to deal with it lechatchila, and how our hands are supposed to be when we wash them. So says the Machaber in Sif Beis, Kol Davar She'inai Makbid Alav Einai Chatzitz. If there's something you don't care about, it's not a chatzitza. Continues the Machaber, what do we do? One person cares and one person doesn't care. Says the Machaber, he who cares, chatzitza. He who doesn't care, not chatzitza. Ketzad, explains the Machaber, what's a case? There's one person who's a painter, whose hands are full of paint. Ain't that seva chaytitz al yadav? The seva, the paint in his hands, is not a chatzitza. It's not that it's just a color; it's actual paint on his hands, like we explained in the previous year. How Ramesha, and this, of course, is the Marmaki. How Ramesha said about himself, he is rogel. He's accustomed to having ink on his hands. He's like a tzaba. He's like this painter. Lo haya tzaba. One is not a painter, like me and you. Maybe I don't write so much, or maybe I type, so I'm not used to having my hands full of paint. So now, if I'd have paint on my hands, v'yesh mam is a critical word. Hatsev al yodav, and there's mamoshes. Then arizah chaytzitz. Why? Shadiyaya yavesh, because the dried up ink chaytzitz valach einay chaytzitz. Now, what this is going to show is that if I have a little bit of paint, pen on my finger, I don't know if you can see that. We'll try to get that up in close. I still don't know if you can see that. Don't want to write too much. If I have a little bit of pen on my finger, there's no mamoshes there. There's nothing there. And therefore, even if there'd be a dal left there, that would not cause an issue for netilas yadayim. Continues the Machaber, v'chein anashim, and similarly, women, shedar kol nitzvay yadayim l'noi, that they color their hands for decoration, literally, for beauty. This could be called nail polish. That seva is not a chatzitza. Now, of course, we know, as we'll speak out more in the Mishnah Berurah, this is more in the derabanan of netilas yadayim. The same rules will apply b'di'evad in the tevilah of a nida on a daraisa level. But we know on the daraisa level we're more machmer, that we'll speak out more in a moment. Says the Ramah, Kildei makish al yadav, if someone has a scab, I mean a makbel, if he doesn't care about it, ein chaytzitzin. So says the Mishnah Berurah, Kol davar sivkatin yud alev, hainu, emu b'miyut toidav, because of course only if it's a little bit. As we explained previously, Aval Gav the Kvar Zachar, Zamachaber Seif Siva Kodim already spoke about this. Kfalikan, the Machaber doubles it up over here. Misham the Chola Siva Zeh, who Devriya Rajba Mamish says the Mishnah Berurah, fascinating. You know why the Machaber repeated his words? Because he's quoting the Rajba. And he wanted to quote his wordage, and this Mishnah Berurah really is giving us a limud. It's teaching us how to learn the Machaber, and often the Machaber does that. Often he'll quote a Rambam, and he'll quote the whole Rambam verbatim, and that always will be precision in the precise quote. Of course, the Mishnah Berurah, the Machaber is just quoting. Now, why did the Rambam double it? Or here, why did the Rashba double it? That's a different question. Meaning to say, mix has been come on a teal a little bit that you're washing. If his whole hands was full of paint, of course we learned already. But it's going to be a chatzitza. But says the Mishnah Berurah at the end of this sefer, when we speak about women that are coloring their hands, even if their whole hand, I don't know what mitzias this is, but apparently there was a mitzias that they would color their entire hand. And this Mishnah Berurah is teaching us that there's a higher level, not that I just don't care about the paint on my hand. I purposely put the paint there, and I wanted there, I wanted there, it's like my gov, it's not a chatzitza. He's a butcher. He's blood in his head. He sell fats. But someone else, it would be a chatzitza because he cares. Let's say he has both. From the hakel, De'enoi chaytes, as he does not care. Sefkat in Yodalit, Shadiyai is blocks the water, but if it's lach, it's eino chaytes. Ratzalaim, what does that mean? Says the Mishnah Berurah. Kemo yahasam gabe diyai shalach eino chaytes mitan shenimcha b'mayim u'me'anatila migiyam legufay. If it's paint that's moist, so even if you care about it, it's going to wash away in the water, and therefore it's not a problem. Similarly, only inks that have substance. If there's no mamashes, like we showed when we colored with a pen on our finger, it's just the appearance of color. It's not actual. You can't feel anything there. Ein shayich chatzitza. It's not a chatzitza. Similarly, you touch something charcoal, it's not such black, it makes your fingers a little dark. There's nothing there. It's not a chatzitza. Misha Kaisev Tad, there's someone who writes often. Here it is. This is the Ramesha we spoke about. Says the Mishnah Berurah affiliation Mashal to Yavishal Tzbi Aisav. Einoi chatzitz. Tarein darkul akbid al zeh. Because such a person is not makbid on that. Sevkata Tezvav Gildei Maka scab. Hanurir Yotim in a Maka, that's the part that comes out of the Maka Mityabish Vinase Glidin, makes a scab. Vish Mefarshin, do Shchin Shenisab of a love armel, a mal of Ishal of Gildi, or it's some type of boil that's healed and there's some crust on top of it. Einoi Maka, Sevkata Tezayin, Lasir Meyadav, you don't care to remove him, Neshu Mitzdair bin Tilasi, it hurts you to remove the scab, and that's why it's not going to be a Chatzitza. Before we go to Sif Gimel, let's just look at a few of the deer shoes over here. Says the deer shoe, note number 20, regarding this coloring of the woman's hands that she wants to be there. Says the deer shoe, as we spoke out, this is the reason why nail polish, lokal siparnayim, says Ar Letzion, Rav Abba Shaol, that's not a chatzitz v'atilas adayim. But he adds on that if it's starting to peel, then they care about it, then it is going to be a chatzitza, because she's makbid on it. Similarly, on this girl, it says the same, and he adds on, this is the reason why a woman that's considered siparnayim melachtosi is ein chatzitza, because they do it all the time. But he concludes and he says, regarding tevila, as we spoke out, lechatchila, you should remove the nail polish from your fingernails. As we know in Tzim Kuf Sadichas, the famous Ramah, that says regarding Tevila, which is a daraisa to remove even items which are not a chatzitza. And we'll point out that the pashtus is even a gel manicure, which of course is a mamish adhere to the skin, and one really wants it to be there. Still, the pashtus is, the Ramah over there, Kuf Sadichas Sebalv says, even items which are not a chatzitza, the halacha is, we want to remove them as you want anything. We see over there, even you're wearing a bracelet, it's not even touching your skin, we remove it. So, similarly, any form of nail polish, etc., etc. We continue over here that what if something you're makbid on a little bit? Okay, that makes it a little bit more confusing how to done it. Let's say you're only makbid on it for Shabbos, then it's going to be a chatzitza. Let's say you're only makbid for a short amount of time, then says Rav Moshe, it's not a chatzitza. Again, these type of things are a little bit more complex when it comes to tvila, as there you're dealing with a daraisa. We have the famous Zechron Yosef that we judge it based if you take it off when you're going to need dough. We're going to see in Sef Gimel in a moment regarding a ring, etc. And let's just finish up over here. Dir Shinu number 22 points out, even if the dough is on the skin and you see some sort of darkness, says Ramesh, it's not a chatzitza if it's a lach, if it's moist. Why? Because the water is going to cause it to wash away. And now, in note number 23, in this scroll, it teaches a bit of a chiddush. Let's say you have something that's clear. For example, you have a clear nail polish. If it has ma'amashais, it's going to be a chatzitza. But of course, that's only if you don't want it to be there. But if it's going to be something that you want to be there, it will have similar qualifications that we spoke about before. And let's continue with Sif Gimel, a very famous shayla, a very important shayla for many women that unfortunately have lost rings. Let's see it together. Says the Mechaber in Sif Gimel, Sarach lahasir tabas, you have to remove a ring, me'al yodai, from your hands, b'shas l'tilas yadayim. Says the Rambam, even if it's loose, you don't care while you're washing. Why? Says the Rambam, a critical line. Because you care When you're doing other work, you don't want it to get dirty. And of course, if you're listening carefully, that means if you don't care, if a woman leaves on her ring, even when she showers, even when she sleeps, even when she washes the dishes, and even when she needs dough, and she mamish leaves on always, and she only takes it off for washing her hands. Seemingly from the words of the Ramah, there would be no reason, as the Ramah is only saying you have to remove it. If you're going to care at other times, we'll see the Mishnah Berurah in a moment. If it's loose, says the Ramah, we don't know what's called loose. Let's take this together with Sif Daled. Shir Natil Zedayim, Kol Ayad Anakadosh Al Zura until the wrist. Some say it's where your fingers reach the hand. Says the Machaber Kedas Rishon, and to wash even until your wrist. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sivkatin Yitzayin, what should we do? We have to remove the ring, Misham Chatzitza, Vafilu Sivkatin Yilchatza Telamer. Av Shemayim Bom, let's ba, Bikol Makam Yishas, even though it's loose, the water get in, you still should remove it. Shemshein Abikim, Ezer Mikirafil, Chamez, we'll see, we don't know what's called loose, but the Yavid also Natil Barafoy, but the Yavid it works, Vusha Shavach Lav Ravis, Vachzachas, you have to have Ravis at one time, which costs like a Mam Sim Kuf Savach base, Sif test. So if the ring is Rafoy and you wash, it's going to be fine. Bishas of cutting your test. Here's what we spoke out, and here's the Mishnah Berurah speaking it out. Only if she takes it off. And a woman generally would take it off, says the Mishnah Berurah. But an ish that wears a ring of Lishin Dark Lak Lasir B'Shas Malach, and clearly in the time the Mishnah Berurah was common for men to wear rings, and there was no Shiloh of Lo Yilbash. Why came Dark Lalosh? And then anyone who's listening, wait, maybe a woman nowadays also is in Dark Lalosh, whether she doesn't make challah, whether she uses a machine, etc. Ein Sarich Lasir Isai B'Shas Netila Filu Einoi Rafui. Rak, if there's a precious jewel that a man is a makbid, you don't want it to get ruined. So even before we're seeing the dirshu, we're seeing this is very, very practical. And it's subjective. There could be two women. A woman that takes off a ring at nighttime, and when she showers, and when she washes the dishes, and when she needs dough. And whether she takes off at some of those times, obviously would be a little bit gray, and that's when one would ask a shayla. But if she's careful that she doesn't want the ring to get dirty or whatever it is, then the lechatchila is not to say it's loose, and to take it off when one washes her hands. But if a woman, we're seeing clearly, is like the man in the time of the Mishnah Berurah, which is what? Either she doesn't need, or she doesn't take it off, or she needs with a machine, or whatever which reason it is, then she would not have to, it would even be lechatchila to wash with it on. Of course, she would not be able to wear it to the mikvah lechatchila, as we have seen. There's a higher level for tvila da'araisa, which is the Ramah in Siman Kuf Sadichas in Yeridea that taught us we take off things even which are not chatzitzos. But here the Mishnah Berurah is saying clearly with regard to the tilas yadayim, if one is not makbid, they can keep it on. We finished with Sif Daled of Katan Chaf, which speaks us how far you have to wash your hands out of kana until the wrist, or till Laimar, says the Mishnah Berurah. At Saif pieces a yad with the finger at the end of the wrist, Shumakum Chibar yad v'akana, where the hand reaches to the forearm. There was a second Roy Linog, Ratzalaimer. After so once we make and just watch the fingers, don't protest. As we know, it's a Derabanan, as we've seen Klal Simin Kuf Samach Savir Aleph. Mikol Makoim Lechatchila Roy Lachar Geder Rishayna. V'chei Noig and Oilam, as everyone here probably didn't even know there was another Shita. Well, the truth is you did know, because you know Yom Kippur is coming up. We know Tisha B'Av that you don't wash until your wrist, so you clearly know there is some level of kula. But everyone washes their whole hand. Comes to the Rishonim, which is one should not be Mekel Ayin Shamayim B'Halacha. Kedas Arisha Tzivkatil Chavbeis V'Mashtat B'Shas Adchak Sheish L'Mayim B'Tzimtzum. You don't have a lot of water. Then says the Mishnah Berurah Yachal Lismach Aldas Mekilim Because Achreinim Tepisas Yadam Meluch L'Chmezeo Chaygam L'Kam Azar Litzel Atzev Pisayad. You have to wash the whole hand. So let's just see a few deer shoes before we call it a day. No, number 26. Just going what we learned before. What does it mean? One writes commonly, often. The Nemuki Arachayim, the Munkatcher, writes, only one who writes many hours of the day, is considered tired, and he adds on, his father, the Darkei Tshuva, even though he wrote a lot, Yom B'Laylas Chedushav, still he was a Machmer, but we spoke out that Ramosha himself, we know, was a Mekel, and he would wash even with his hands having ink on them. And we continue over here. Sifkatan 28. Sifkatan. Dirshun number 28. Afshad Hasanoi Delanoi. And the Gemara says regarding the holding for a lulav, we're coming up very time sensitive. The oigdev davshein mina lulav, it's not a chatzitza. Why? Sha'agid also lenoi. So the ring is lenoi. Maybe it should be a chatzitza. Called davshein lenoi and a chaitzes comes along. Hevi Agoyin Rav Shmuel. I believe that's Vosner. Let's just get the next page over here. I hope we have it. I really hope we have it. Let's hope and pray. 1 second. Oh, Baruch Hashem. Where is that? Yep. Hagoyin Rav Shmuel Vosner. In Shiri Shevet Alevi, continues the Dirish over here in the back of the Sefer. B'Shem the Pesach Havayis, that he answers that's only b'makom sheyanoi lechafitz chifetz atzmoi, meaning in the case of the lulav that the ring is a knife for the lulav. But over here, the ring is a knife to the person, la'adam v'nat to the yad, an interesting svara, and the finger is that which requires it to be washed, and Rav Vosner is a mitzayim sarich ian. And then you should put on Ravisa Zachas, Sham Kosev Shishizar, that you should not have anything on your hands. Okay, I thought there were other deer shoes regarding the ring. Apparently I was incorrect. Okay, we spoke of the halacha, and Lamaisa comes out that one, here it is, yes there is. Here it is, deer shoe note number 30. Okay, let's just finish up with this. I know it's getting late. If one takes it off when they need. Says the deer shoe number 30, let's say one's normally not makbid. Vim Kain's Arlia's Dina Kimia Chena Makbid Extaz in Yardea. There's a big sugi between the Ravid. If you're Makbid, sometimes it's going to be considered Akpada. So even if you're Makbid just to knead dough, that is going to be considered a Hakpada. No, number 31 speaks out as we said nowadays. Let's say a woman does not take off a ring when she needs. Maybe it's because she uses a machine or one that says Arletzion. She does not have to remove it, even if it has a diamond on it, etc. when she washes her hand, even if it's tight on her finger. But a woman that is makbid, then she would take it off. This is as we spoke out clearly in the Mishnah Bura. But of course, you should use her visa one time. Women should use a lot of water, etc. And finally, interesting, in note number 32, we speak of what about the fact that a man takes off the ring when he puts on his tefillin or he takes his lulav, says the Chassam Sofer. But since he's not makbid on the ring or it's getting it dirty, it's just to make up room to hold the tefillin or for the lulav, therefore will not be a chatzitza with regard to the Tilas Yadayim. Says Rav Moshe is fine, see that the Chassam Sofer is difficult to understand. So what exactly does the Chassam Sofer mean? You wouldn't have to remove it. So how does the Chassam Sofer answer it? Rav Moshe leaves it off, Sarchin on the Chassam Sofer. He's worried that the ring is going to get stolen, says the Kaf Chayim. He should pour Ravias on his hand, and then while his hands are still wet, what should he do? He should move around the ring a little bit, and then pour on more, and then you'll have all the waters connected, and then you could be Yotze. That's another way if one would not want to take off the ring. And finally, note number 34, as we're holding right before Yom Kippur, Achela Yitzan Yom Kippur Tisha B'Av, says Lahiris Nasa Shevet Alevi, he should wash his hands properly, the whole yad, the whole hand, and it's not called an Isser Rechitza. I was just speaking about Tilas Yadayim in the morning. Let's say, let's leave this interesting Shaila V'Shevet Alevi, that if he has the Shem Hashem in his hands, what does he do? Okay, Ayin the Tshuva, and Amir Hashem, we will continue with Simin Kof Samuch Beis, which are the halachas of Hagbah V'Shish Yadayim until you pick up your hands after you wash your hands, and the next year, B'siyata Dishmaya.